The title of this podcast is Do You Bring Joy Home? This is inspired by Jane Fonda, who I mentioned in a previous podcast. And she was sharing about how she grew up in Hollywood, California, with a very successful father, Henry Fonda, who is, credited with being one of the great actors. And she talked about her childhood not being particularly happy because while he was one person on screen, when he came home, he was nothing like that. He was very hard to be around. You never knew who you were going to get. And oftentimes, it was not a loving parent. And so when people would ask her, what do you want to do when you grow up? You should consider acting. She rejected that idea because she correlated her dad's behavior and mood at home with what must be happening at work to make him show up this way at home. And so she said, I don't want to be an actor. And I think about that as whether you are a parent, a sibling, a child, a spouse, a partner, what do you bring home? Do you bring home joy? Do you bring home frustration, upset, um, anger? What are you bringing home? If you'd ask the people in your life, what do you bring home? What would they say? Now, I know people that are grandparents now. And when I talk to their children say, well, you didn't treat us that way that you're treating, my child, which is your grandchild. And everyone kind of chuckles about it and laughs about it. But perhaps there was an opportunity that when that person was a parent, that they could have brought joy home. Or maybe they were unconscious and they were doing the very best that they could. And then I know people that when they have a second chance or a third chance in a relationship and they're much older, they've had some life experiences, that they start to bring joy home and to, their new life because they've learned a few things. So wherever you are now, in whatever stage of life you are, exercise some agency and choose to bring joy home. Now, you may not be feeling joy, but a lot of that is an inside job. So, regardless of the challenges that are out there that could affect you, perhaps invite a lot of gratitude in your life, begin some kind of practice so that when you go home, you bring joy home. When you go to work, you bring joy to work. A lot of that, as I mentioned, is an inside job. And I think if you ask the people in your life, what do you bring to the table? I think it will be very informative about how you might want to go about moving forward in your life. So I encourage you, work on bringing joy home.